Marsha.
All right, here we go.
Oh, wow, I thought he was throwing something at me there for a minute, but he was telling me we're on.
We are on. We're ready to have another shoot tonight.
Another shoot. And, yeah, to talk, what is it, another shoe? Another show? The Ed Sullivan wise. Anyway, ignoring all of that, this is another edition of Talk Around Town. This is a program where you get to meet your friends and neighbors, people who make a difference in Northbrook. And tonight we do have a guest who makes a big difference in Northbrook, and one that's not generally known by the public, and there's a lot of excitement about your being on the show tonight.
Before we introduce our guest, which we will, you need to introduce yourself.
Oh, me? Oh.
Yes, he's Jack and I'm Susan.
Do I look? Oh, sorry about that. See, we had to mess up.
Who's talking.
Yeah, I'm Jack Coombe.
And I'm Susan Carrington, and we're here. And now we're going to introduce our fabulous guest.
See, we can get along without her.
Now, I guess anybody who's interested, we're going to bring, everybody's going to come to the TV now. If anyone's interested in publishing any work.
That's right.
I mean, if it's a book or a screenplay, you've got to pay attention because this is the show you want to watch.
Because our guest tonight is Marsha Cook, who is a literary agent. Welcome to our show, Marsha.
Thank you for having me.
Welcome.
It's the first time you've ever been on the show, and we've had a false start, but anyway, we usually have false endings, but no, ignore all that.
Actually, this is the second time he said the joke, and we didn't get it this time.
You got it this time, dear.
So if you get it, let us know.
Well, you can lead off the drilling. The talk, the questions.
Okay, I guess the first thing we'll talk about is you as a literary agent. What is a literary agent, and as opposed to, let's say, a talent agent or?
Well, people come to me that have written a book or a script or poetry, things like that, and they don't know really what to do, and they want to get it published or they want to get a movie made from the script that they wrote.
Mm-hmm. That is like really exciting about getting a movie made.
It is.
Do you do television scripts too?
Yeah, whatever they have, but television is a little harder because a lot of the times people that work for one television show go to the next television show that's on. They just keep going, and they don't really take a lot of new people.
Okay.
But for movies, you can get a movie made. If the script is good, they'll buy it.
Wow, that is so exciting.
There's a lot of writers out there. I have over 200, at least, emails a week that are just, they're looking for help. They want to get, noticed.
So then you as an agent kind of work on their behalf and you go to the public?
I try to, right, and we try to help them and guide them and to, tell them to keep writing, because that's like the most important thing, because if you fail with one, it's not really a failure, it's just learning. And so if they write 2, 3, 4 scripts, usually by the 5th, it's better.
Now, do you actually, do you know these publishers, or do you go to different conventions and meet them?
Well, there's a lot of publishers in New York, and there's a lot of small publishers. So we call them, and you don't really get to talk to publishers that much. They don't, respond as easily as production companies. Production companies, if you have a script, you can call them, and they do answer. And you send them, little quips called log lines, and then they kind of say, will read the script. And it's exciting when they read it, but unfortunately they read a lot of scripts and they're not even sure what they want. They just come to us for different ideas.
Okay, yeah, because I guess that's...
Well, there's a lot of scripts. There's a lot of good ideas out there. And they're missing a lot sometimes, but they would rather have established writers. But we just keep going, and I keep trying to tell people to just keep writing.
Now I have a question for you. This is kind of, I think a lot of people ask this. Now, if you send a script, some people say, well, if I send it out there, they're going to steal my idea. Well, is there a certain way that you...
You have to have it copyrighted. You really should. You can copyright it with the WGA, and then you can copyright it in Washington. In Washington, when you copyright it there, that is for 99 years. Okay. And when you copyright it in California or in New York, there's 2 guilds, writers' guilds, then that lasts for 5 years.
Okay. Now that would be like a screenplay?
Screenplay. And books you need to also copyright.
Oh, you do?
Right.
I never knew that. That's really interesting.
And if you copyright it, it's safe. You cannot get it out of the Copyright Office. Even if you want to, you can't get it out. Once it goes there, It's there.
Okay, and then how much would that cost somebody?
That costs about $40–45.
Okay, so it's definitely worth it.
Oh, they should definitely do that. I know a lot of people think that if you mail it to yourself, that's good enough. It's not.
It's not, okay. Yeah, because a lot of times people say, well, mail it to
They do.
yourself.
I know, they do say that. And they think it's good, but it's really not. If you really need the Copyright Office later to say there's a problem, they have it stored.
And then you can just come out and you can say, okay.
There have been so
That's
many
really interesting.
horror stories of scripts being
Not as much as you think, because it's
stolen.
not easy to write a
It
screenplay.
has in the past.
Yeah, you know, and if you took somebody's idea, you'd write it in a different way. You wouldn't write it exactly the same way.
No,
so
nobody would.
it's, you know, I mean, I think the theory of that it's out there where people are stealing, it's not as much as you think.
So now, what percentage of your clients are for screenplay and what are for books?
It varies.
It just depends.
It varies. It depends on the year. Some years I take screenplays, and then some years I go, I'm not going to take any books anymore because the publishers aren't paying attention, and then 2 minutes later I change my mind. And then I say, okay, I'll take them because I get a good book.
Because you get a good book and you want to get it published.
Yeah.
See, Marsha, the question we're often asked is, what's the difference between a talent agent and a literary
Well, a
agent?
talent agent is someone that goes out with the person and tries to get them a job, you know, in Hollywood, get them, you know, to play a certain part. Where I just come in where I try to sell the script, and then they would get their own stars, you know.
Now, is there any kind of work that the publishers are looking for now, like let's say in certain kind of books?
You call them and they want something good, but they actually don't know what they want.
That's interesting.
And after you get off the phone with them, you know less.
So there's no, like, the publishers aren't wanting more fiction or nonfiction or...
Nonfiction does sell better.
Okay.
You know, there's a lot of people that want to read books that are nonfiction. And if you're a star, you get the book done usually. You know, if you're well known, and unfortunately they're missing a lot of good books. I mean, I've had a lot of clients that have really good books, and they give up too fast. You got to keep going. You can't stop. That's the message I give.
Yes.
You know, and that is the most important thing, is to keep writing. That's really why I do what I do, and I've done it for years. I'm a writer. And I had an agent who really was not very good, and I became an agent because I thought I could help people. I mean, basically, if I don't get their books into a publisher, or I don't get their screenplay, at least I hope I get them to keep writing. And eventually, I do believe it can happen, but most people give up too fast.
Now, when you say, like, keep writing, and you're saying they may want to give up on this one particular book, but keep writing for another one,
well,
or keep editing,
I don't want them to give up at all.
Okay.
Because if they keep writing, they will get better.
Okay.
And you never know if somebody will want it somewhere down the line. That's where they also now self-publish on books on demand.
Yeah,
and that's the
one
biggest
thing that
field.
we wanted to talk about was self-publishing, how that's effective.
And that works out really good. I mean, because now, instead of people keeping all their work in drawers, they don't. What they do is they now can publish it for sometimes not as much money as you think, and at least they have their book out there. They're on Borders, they're on all the websites, and it's very helpful because this way they can go out and talk to people, and then they can sell their own books. They can have websites, and they can make a career if they want to. It's hard. It's the PR that counts.
And that's what you would offer.
Or I don't offer the PR, but we're thinking of doing that now. I think I might have to help people because I think they don't know that if the PR is very hard, and it's very expensive, and that's one of the problems.
Okay, now, I've had this, let's just say that I've had this idea that all my life, I'm sure you hear this all the time, all my life I wanted to write this one book, and I'm going to retire and I'm going to write this one book. Okay, so I've got this book.
You're going to make $1 million in 5 minutes.
Right. Well, so I have this book. I've got it written, and I'm going to self-publish it. Do I still need an agent?
Yes.
Okay.
Because, it's good to have an agent because it gives you credibility.
Yeah.
You know, and they just think, oh, somebody likes your work. And I think that helps people. Yeah. You know, and I really do think that's one of the things. There aren't that many agents in Chicago. There's a lot of them in New York. They're in L.A., but it really doesn't matter. People think it matters, but it doesn't. It matters if they like the book. They don't care where I'm from.
Okay.
You know, and and Chicago is a big town, and that's one of the things that we're trying to do now is make Chicago what it should be. I mean, we have a lot of authors here. My clients are not all from Chicago. They're from everywhere. Utah, Miami, they're New York, they're from Texas, and they come to me with, a lot of them come to me already aggravated because they've already spent money with a publisher that didn't help them. And when they self-published, they've had editors that charge them a lot of money that they don't really edit their books very well. So they're coming mad, which is sometimes a little hard because they already don't like me before they even know me, you know. And I try to, it's hard. That is very hard.